Hey folks, it's Rob and welcome back. We're continuing our series today on the Dungeons and Dragons Expert Rulebook. Welcome to part 3, where last we left off, we were moving into the human character classes. Expanding these rules and, you know, going over some, well, functionally some changes. Because, like, as explicitly described in the last episode, some of the clerical spells and magic user spells can be reversed, and so some of these will be discussed in the coming section as we come to them, right? Uh, as you can see here, we'll be covering some of the first level clerical spells, and it's not because there's really new spells here; it's because these are reversible. And as you can see here on the chart, clerical spells will go from first to sixth level so far in this edition of the game, and not necessarily a full range of high level spells is available. We only have four here at the sixth level. Uh, well, you can, as I was saying previously, this does contain basically the functional information you need for a lot of what you need to operate characters without needing the basic set book. However, you will not have everything. There will be, for example, the basic spell descriptions of like about five of these spells is not available. And then the ones that are described here are functionally the reverses. So, uh, but you don't need like the saving throw chart off of the basic set. You don't need the experience table. You don't need the turn down undead table. These are our, complete to this point here in this edition. And, functionally, what's different about the cleric is, you know, how it progresses in level, as you move from third into fourth and so on. And, the expanded spell abilities, the expanded turn abilities, and what you need to be able to level. Well, let's get into it. So, from the top, character classes human. For the first three levels of experience, a cleric's power is very limited, but as they advance to a maximum of 36th level, clerics obtain more spells of greater power, due both to practice and the strengthening of their beliefs. It is very important for clerics to be faithful to their beliefs. Now, as a point of interjection here, clerics in Beckme don't worship specific deities usually. They have faith. It's very, they might have patron immortals in a way, but they get their power from the universe as opposed to any particular entity. That's not really delved into here, but that's why they're being very generic. But also, at this time, they'd already had the satanic panic happen, and they were like, you know what, we don't need to be tied too much to religion. It's fine. I don't mind the special way that they handle this. I think it's quite interesting, actually. But you know, your game is your game. If you want to be like the a priest of God, then that's up to you and your game. Um, if a cleric behaves in a manner that does not fit the character's alignment or beliefs, the cleric may be punished by the church or even greater powers. This punishment could, for example, be a penalty on hit rolls, a dangerous quest that must be completed, or even a lack of spells, which is the most common consequence I will say players usually encounter. Your DM will tell you what the character must do to recover good standing. When a cleric reaches name level, see how that's bolded there, um, a castle may be built. If the cleric has never been punished for misbehavior, the cleric's church may help with the cost. Some followers may come to assist and serve the cleric. Your DM will help with the details. Yeah, that's not going to be covered here, but yeah. Name level is on the chart down here, and you can see it says patriarch, right? Clearly, if you want to feminize this, you can to matriarch. You do you. But, then the naming title gets uninteresting, right? It's just 10th level patriarch, 11th level patriarch, 12th level patriarch. They just kind of give up. You're just a patriarch. Um, you can see the XP values. It's 200,000 XP to get to that 9th level. You get spells per level, obviously. Patriarch gets 3 first level spells, 3 second level spells, 3 third level spells, and 2 fourth level spells. And as we advance, you can open up 5th level and 6th level spells. Uh, Moving into further here, the notes on the chart read the same as described in the basic set. So it's really just moved on to talking about the turning undead table without talking about the turn undead table. A number, bolded, is the roll needed on 2d6 for a cleric to turn a number of undead monsters to chase them away for some time. So, to come to the chart here, a first level cleric needs a 7 or better to turn a quantity of skeletons, right? 9 or better on 2d6 to turn a quantity of zombies, and 11 or better to turn a quantity of ghouls. But the power gets much stronger, as you can see. Now, why are all these T's and D's on here? And D plus even, right? The numbers never get lower than 7. Why is that? Well, that's because you no longer have to roll the dice after a certain point. A second level cleric will automatically turn a quantity of skeletons. That's what the T means. Let's read it before I get too far off the path here. AT, bolded, means automatic turning, and AD, bolded, means that a number of undead are destroyed. Up to 12 hit dice of undead are affected with each successful attempt. The number affected is determined by the DM using 2d6. Each successful attempt will turn at least one undead monster. So, if it's of the category you can turn and you have successfully turned it, you will affect at least one monster, even if it has more hit dice than the actual amount rolled, right? Let's say you rolled really poorly, rolled 2 hit dice, but you were able to turn a white, you still turn the white, right? You just won't turn multiple whites. But if you had enough hit dice, let's say you had a 4 hit dice undead monster and you rolled 5, you can turn 2. Yeah, because 4 of those hit dice are one monster and 1 is the next one. If your cleric is successful at turning undead, but some of the undead still remain due to 12 hit dice maximum per try, the cleric may make another attempt if desired. And yeah, you can keep doing this. It's certainly something I don't tend to see in the video game implementations of Dungeons & Dragons. Although you don't get a lot of Beck Me in the video games. Only one attempt can be made each combat round, and no other actions are possible while turning undead. However, if any attempt fails, no further attempts at turning that group of undead will succeed for that cleric. So you can keep going, and you don't lose out on the successes that you've already gotten. So don't worry about that. But once you've failed, the remainder are resistant to your powers, as it were. One new notation, D+, appears on the chart. This means that the power of the cleric is so great that 3 to 18 hit dice of undead are destroyed, 3d6 instead of 2d6. Again, the DM will determine the exact amount. He'll roll those dice for you. So yeah, if you get to, let's say, a patriarch, right? You're level 9. You have automatically destroys some skeletons, zombies, ghouls, wights, wraiths, mummies even, and you will automatically turn specters and vampires. That's really potent, isn't it? And then, if you advance a bit more, you can, a 13th level, you're destroying everything. And the larger quantities of skeletons and zombies, they're just gone. And you can't fail once you have automatics. So you can just keep turning. Just keep turning and turning and, just wipe out whole swarms of undead. This is part of the power of a cleric that people don't necessarily appreciate in this game. It gets quite strong to make up some of its other limitations. Moving on to the next page, it starts talking about the spell descriptions, and that's all it's really going to else do in the cleric. But let's read, because it's fun. First level clerical spells. The following first level clerical spells may be reversed. Ranges, durations, saving throws, and areas of effect are unchanged from the basic unless noted. So that's why you're still going to need information from the basic set for these spells, or from the cyclopedia. Again, I recommend having the cyclopedia as your go-to reference, because everything's in one book, but the basic set is also perfectly acceptable to have with you. If eventually you have a collection of books. It's you do you. Some people have literally edited things together to make their own version of the cyclopedia based on what they need to know, right? I don't tend to go that far. So, Cure Light Wounds, as you can see, we have an asterisk on this now. So it's because it is reversible, but, as we talked about before, evil aligned clerics will prefer the reversed version, while good aligned clerics will prefer the regular version. And neutral ones can select, but should stick to whatever they've selected for the most part. You can still reverse this, and you don't need to prepare in advance to reverse a clerical spell. You can just decide, you know what, I'm doing this in reverse. But it should be because of dire specific need for the reverse spell, as explained in the notes, because it is kind of like blasphemy, right? So, it has to be the right move. Obviously, your immortal power will still smile upon you if you did him good, but again, it's very nebulous as to what you're supposed to be keeping appeased, etc. Your alignment, definitely, it should be either, and this is a 3-tier alignment system, so you're either lawful, you're either you're neutral, or you're chaotic, right? So, broad strokes, those are good, neutral, and evil, functionally in this game, but, in the wider scheme of D&D, there is certainly chaotic good and lawful evil, right? And neutral good and neutral evil. Your game, your interpretation of the rules, as always, as the DM. As the player, you may want to talk about alignment with, your DM to see what they feel about this kind of thing if you have questions. Light, you can see is, sorry, I hadn't actually read the Cure Light Wounds description, but I'm getting ahead of myself. When reversed, this spell Cause Light Wounds causes 2 to 7 points of damage to any creature or character touched. No saving throw. The cleric must make a normal hit roll. I've certainly seen also that Cause Light Wounds is sometimes used as a way of healing undead creatures. It's not strictly that, but I can see how you might see it that way, right? Because it's like negative energy kind of thing. But it's a touch range. You don't need to... some people will make you roll to make a touch hit, which is, basically like a 9 AC. Some people will just automatically give this to you. Light. Asterisk in, so it's reversible. When reversed, the spell Darkness creates a circle of darkness 30 foot in diameter. It will block all sight except for infravision. Darkness will cancel a light spell if cast upon it. So it's a kind of a counter spell that way. If cast in an opponent's eyes, it will cause blindness until canceled, but a light spell does that too. Or until the duration ends. Target is allowed a saving throw, and if he succeeds, the spell misses. So, no effect, functionally. Remove fear. Again, reversible. When reversed, the spell Cause Fear will make any one creature flee for 2 turns. The victim may make a saving throw versus spells to avoid the effect, Reverse spell has a range of 120 feet. I don't actually know if that's different from the base spell. But basically, you are now causing fear as opposed to removing fear from a target. Got a bit of Elmore artwork here on the page. It's nice. We talked about this fierce-looking cleric before. We also have this just like, I imagine this is a light spell, right? In a way. Second level clerical spells. Again, we're going to talk about some reversible spells here, right? Is Bless, that is reversible. Range. We have provided statistics for these, so that's nice. Range 60 foot, duration 6 turns, effect all within a 20-foot square area, right? A lot of games implement that as 4 characters, but really your party should be able to gather into a 20-foot square area unless it's massive. This spell improves the morale of friendly creatures by +1 and gives the recipients a +1 bonus on all hit and damage rolls. It will only affect creatures in a 20-foot by 20-foot area and only those who are not yet in melee. So, you need to already not be engaged in combat. When reversed, this spell, Blight, causes a -1 penalty on enemy morale, hit rolls, and damage rolls. Each victim may make a saving throw versus spells to avoid the penalties. And it does not mention whether or not you should be engaged in combat for the reversed version. So that restriction I would interpret as not applicable. Find traps. This is not a reversible spell. This is a new spell for the entry. Range 0, the cleric is the target. Duration 2 turns, so 20 minutes. Traps within 30 feet glow. Okay. This spell causes all traps to glow within a dull blue light when the cleric comes within 30 feet of them. It does not reveal the types of traps nor any method of removing them. Now, by strict reading, the traps themselves glow blue, not that the cleric sees a glow blue. So the party themselves can see the blue glowing trap in that case. Your interpretation. Hold Person, as you can see, is now a reversible spell, range 180 feet, duration 9 turns, effects paralyzes up to 4 creatures. The Hold Person spell will affect any human, demi-human, or human-like creature, bugbear, dryad, gnoll, gnome, hobgoblin, kobold, lizard man, ogre, orc, nixie, pixie, or sprite. It's very definitive here. Again, I would say this is meant to be targeting humanoid monsters and races, right? So it's a quasit. It has arms and legs and a head and wears clothes. Fine, right? It will not affect the undead or creatures larger than ogres, so giants. Each victim must make a saving throw versus spells or be paralyzed for 9 turns. So it's an hour and a half. The spell may be cast at a single person or at a group. If cast at a single person, a -2 penalty applies to the saving throw. If cast at a group, it will affect up to 4 persons at the cleric's choice, but with no penalty to their rolls. The paralysis may only be removed by the reverse spell or by a dispel magic spell. The reverse of the spell, Free Person, removes the paralysis of up to 4 victims of the normal form of the spell, including one cast by a magic user or elf. It has no other effect. So, and which is the evil version of that? Is the Hold Person the good version? Argument is that it is, right? And that the free, the reverse Free Person is the evil spell. Maybe you allow them to use this whichever way they want. That's kind of how I would run it. Like, this is causing wounds, right? That's definitely comes over as like creepy and wrong in a way, right? Using negative energy to injure or kill somebody. This is, reversing a Hold Person spell functionally. No alignment. This is also reversible. Range 0, cleric only. Duration 1 round. Effect 1 creature within 10 feet. Caster of this spell may discover the alignment, lawful, neutral, or chaotic, of one creature within 10 foot. Spell may also be used to find the alignment of an enchanted item or area, if any. For example, of a magic sword or temple. Because you're like, what areas have alignments? Well, sometimes places are evil. Sometimes places are spiritually cool, calm and cool, right? Um, the reverse of the spell, confuse alignment, lasts for 1 turn per level of the caster, and may be cast on any one creature by touch. No saving throw is allowed. For as long as the spell lasts, any cleric trying to find the alignment of the recipient by way of the normal form of the spell will get a false answer. Same false answer will be the result of any further attempts. Now, to be able to cast this spell, you have to be able to cast a 2nd level spell. To be able to cast a 2nd level spell, you have to be at least 4th level. So that would mean this spell has a minimum duration of 40 minutes and could be longer. Resist fire. This is a... please note there's no asterisk on the resist fire. Range 30 feet. Duration 2 turns. Effect 1 living creature. For the duration of the spell, the recipient cannot be harmed by normal fire and heat. The recipient also gains +2 bonus on all saving throws versus magical fire, dragon breath, fireball, etc. Furthermore, damage from such fire is reduced by 1 point per die of damage, though each die will inflict at least 1 point of damage. So keep that in mind. You can't reduce a 1 to a 0. Red dragon breath damage is reduced by 1 point per hit die of the creature, again to a minimum of 1 point of damage per hit per die. So, like if you have a 8 hit die dragon breathing at you, dragon breath in this version of the game generally is the amount of hit points of the dragon. You will reduce that damage by 8 hit points in that case to a minimum of 8, because you can't go any lower. Moving forward to the next page. And again, a great piece of art here on the facing page. Just really comes over well. And then, some snakes, because snakes, right? They're not bad snakes, but they are snakes. Starting at the top of the page and here in the corner. Silence, 15-foot radius, a classic. Range, 180 feet. Duration, 12 turns. Effect, Sphere of Silence, 30 feet across. This spell makes area of effect totally silent. Conversations and spells in this area are impossible for the duration of the spell. Spell does not prevent a person within that area from hearing noises made outside the area. If cast on a creature, the victim must make a saving throw versus spells, or the spell effect will move with the creature. If the saving throw is successful, the spell remains in the area in which it was cast, and the victim may move out of that area. So, I throw that on the enemy magic user, they make their saving throw, they can move out of the silence zone, right? If they fail their savings throw, it is literally on them and will follow them. They cannot get out of it. If they, for some reason, they choose not to move from where they are, they're still in the zone of silence, even if they made the saving throw, and cannot cast their spells. Now, here's our reason why we have snakes on here, because we have Snake Charm, which I rarely run into anyone taking Snake Charm, but Snake Charm is actually a handy spell if you're in a situation where you're going to need it. Range, 60 feet. Duration, 2 to 5 rounds or 2 to 5 turns. We'll get to that. Charms 1 hit die of snakes per level of the caster. And again, you have to be at least 4th level to have a 2nd level spell. A cleric may charm 1 hit die of snakes for each level of experience with this spell, and no saving throw is allowed. A 5th level cleric could charm 1 5 hit die snake, 5 1 hit die snakes, or any combination totaling 5 hit dice or less. The snakes affected will rise up and sway, but will not attack unless attacked themselves. If used on attacking snakes, spell's duration is 2 to 5 rounds. Otherwise, it lasts 2 to 5 turns. When the spell wears off, the snakes return to normal, but with normal reactions, and will not automatically be hostile. So you get to reset that reaction roll. But better to have charmed them before they attacked in the first place, right? Uh, Avoiding encounters is kind of encouraged in some ways in this game because really what you're after is the treasure. But sometimes you do need to actually kill the snakes. But snakes being generally animals, I'm totally for let's try to get around the problem as opposed to going straight through the problem, right? Similar to this kind of concept is the Speak with Animals spell, which is also not reversible. Range 0, cleric only. Duration 6 turns, that's an hour. Effects allows conversation within 30 feet. When this spell is cast, the cleric must name one type of animal, such as normal bats, wolves, etc. For the duration of the spell, the cleric may speak with all animals of that type if they are within 30 feet. The effect moves with the caster. Any normal or giant forms of animals, including mammals, insects, birds, etc., may be spoken to, but intelligent animals and fantastic creatures are not affected. When there exist both normal and giant forms, only one type, either normal or giant, may be named. The creature's reactions are usually favorable, +2 to the reaction roll, and they may be talked into doing a favor for the cleric if the reaction is high enough. Favor requested must be understood by the animal and must be possible for the creature to perform. So, the snakes can't be charmed into co-signing your bank loan. But they can go and look through that crack in the wall and tell you what's on the other side to the best of their ability to perceive it, right? Um, third level clerical spells. Do I want to stop here? We're about a half hour. You know what? We'll stop here. We'll just do a bit of look at this. This is great art. I like this very much. We have a dead person here. This is literally on the Speak with Dead next to. So we'll be getting to that next time. But we're kind of bringing the spirit up to talk to him, right? This dead fallen adventurer, like what happened to you, man? But thank you very much for watching and for listening. I'm hoping you're enjoying these things. If you do, a like on the video is most helpful. And if you want to be notified of these videos coming out, you can subscribe to the channel, which is always appreciated. You can hit that notification button if you want. Sometimes that even works. But we'll come back next time. We'll do the 3rd level cleric spells, the 4th level cleric spells, and we'll move forward. I think the fighter is next, and he should just be his own relatively brief section, I think. You have a great day. Goodbye.